Hey, hey, it's more chemistry fun time for you. However, this time we're going to start with the symbols and come up with the name. So, suppose we then will pick an example. I am going to write something like, um, this will be a good one. I'll do, now, when we go to name this, we look at BA and we'll find it on the periodic table. And we'll say, where are you? Ah, there you are. And then you need to look up its name. This periodic table doesn't have its name, but yours does. You also have the P. So now that means that if we have BA, it stands for barium. And phosphorus, but not phosphorus, but phosphide. Yeah. Now, is barium a transition element? Now, what is a transition element? A transition element are elements that fall in this skinny part in the middle of the periodic table. And lo and behold, barium does not fall there. And so barium is not a transition element and therefore does not require any of this Roman numeral stuff that we're going to get into. So we're done. It's as easy as that. On the other hand, let's do something that requires a Roman numeral. Suppose we did something, I don't know, what's a good one? Um, we'll do this. Now we find AG. Well, let's find it on the periodic table. Here's my AG, and here's my S. And so, yes, I've picked an example that contains something that's in the middle of the periodic table. Now, AG is silver. And since silver falls in the middle of the periodic table, the transition element lands, we need parentheses and we need to put something in there. However, we have sulfur, but we don't say sulfur, we say sulfide. Now, what is the charge of this? Well, the way I like to look at it is, let's cut this thing in half, and let's find out the charge of the negative ion, which is -2. And then how many of these -2's are there? There's only one. So we have a total -2 charge on the right-hand side. Therefore, the +2 charge must exist on the left. There are two silvers, so each of one of these silvers must then have a, well, +1 charge, because 2 goes into 2 one time. Another way of looking at this is, well, we have a silver, and we have a silver ion, and it must add together to form a neutral compound with one sulfur. And therefore, each of these must have a +1 charge. Now, suppose we wanted to do something that contained a polyatomic ion. Well, the only difference with the polyatomic ion is that you got to know what it looks like and you got to know its name. And so imagine we did something like chromium, H in chromium, chromium sulfate. Yeah, I got to change this slightly. CR, and this is going to be CrSO4. So I started out with the name, but I was incorrect. Chromium, and then we have sulfate. Now you have to recognize the sulfate, but you also got to recognize that chromium here is one of our transition elements. So we need to figure out, well, what's its charge? So we put a Roman numeral with this. And we also have to know that sulfate has a -2 charge. And how many sulfates are there? Only one. Don't get confused by that 4. The 4 is what sulfate looks like, not the number of sulfates. So that means we have a total of a -2 charge on this side and a +2 charge on this side, and that one chromium must have a +2 charge. So it's chromium 2 sulfate. Yeah,